So this is, to the best of our knowledge with what's been going on in our finance department.
It's not 100% accurate.
It's not 100%, but it's as close as Jan could figure. I think we did okay. I mean, I don't compare, I guess I don't know what the numbers were last year.
Yeah, it's a lot better than last year.
So, and I know there were some things that maybe were missed last year with, some of the credit card reading machines. But this is what Jan came up with, and I mean, breaking even's pretty darn good, if that's, you know, there's probably still some outstanding things or whatever, but I think, looking at it, we were pretty darn close.
I mean, some of the areas where there was a lot of improvement this year was in concessions.
Yeah.
Right.
That was there was a lot of wastage last year. And part of it had to do with the management structure that we had in place last year. We had
Yep.
kind of a hands-off manager, which, you know, it was what it was. And we had a transition with Ron leaving too, so it was kind of a, but this year I think we saw, you know, a double actually in revenue and profit on that. So we had switched over to, instead of using Reinhardt, we went over to Sam's Club. So that's been something where, I mean, it's meant more trips for staff to go and pick things up, but, really, and then we also are utilizing Hy-Vee here locally for pizzas and stuff like that. Part of it was, I know that, I wasn't satisfied with the quality of some of the products that we were selling. For example, the pizzas I thought last year were not very good. I mean.
For what we were paying for them.
Yeah, for what you're paying for, you know, if you're paying $8 for a pizza, I think it should taste okay at least one of the quality of like Jack's or something like that, you know, and so I think this year we saw a lot of positives, a lot of good feedback on that. So I mean, that's a real improvement. One thing that Jan had kind of noticed throughout the year, like, so last year we ended up having this sort of issue, and I don't know if you guys have talked about that with the MyRec, with the setting switch. Have you talked about that already at the board level?
Well, we haven't yet, no, that
Sure.
was just kind of one of the things I just brought up.
So, for example, last year we had some issues with, MyRec was their first year last year, so there was some implementation, you know, it's always implementation, new policies, new programs, that sort of thing. And Jan can really speak to this better than I can. My understanding was there's basically two buttons they can click when they have people coming to pay for their memberships. And what was happening was, sometimes when they would click, the one button wasn't really active. Well, they would click that, and people would have thought they paid, but they ended up not, didn't actually go through the system. And so what ended up happening was, we were fortunate, you know, we caught it relatively early in the process, and did some retraining, obviously, with staff, but also we contacted the residents who, you know, I thought they had paid, I think it was maybe 2 weeks into the season, and said, hey, you know, check your credit card, but if it hasn't come out, you know, our record shows, you know, you may have swiped your card, but it didn't go through. And so that happens. I mean, it happens, you know, businesses, you know, credit cards can be kind of clunky sometimes, but anyway, so we caught that, and I think that's helped a lot this year with kind of reconciling those numbers too. So, I mean, overall, like, I think last year we were close to a $100,000 loss, which, to be honest with you, is not completely unusual with a revenue base of this size. I mean, a lot of aquatic centers, you know, typically there's only two in Minnesota that regularly draw profit, and those are both in the metro, and they're very large. I think it's, Coon Rapids has got like a full-style water park, and then I think Apple Valley makes money. And they're not huge profits, but they're very nice, I mean, and good for them. I mean, those still don't actually draw a profit when you add in the capital costs. So, for example, like, we're coming close to breaking even operations this year, when it doesn't take into account all the, you know, the bonding costs. So, for example, like the bond that was issued when the city voted to have this pool, I mean, that's paid for by tax revenue. It's not paid for by the usage. But so I feel very good about it, and I really want to applaud our staff, especially our manager, and Ben did a great job this year, and Jan, you know, kind of throwing herself into it, putting herself out there, trying some different things, learning some things.
Yeah.
That's a good thing too, Jan, right? You know, it's good to learn a bit, but I think it's made our process a lot stronger, and next year, hopefully, we'll have good management again. That's something we have to talk about.
And, actually, Julia is supposed to reach out to me as soon as she goes on break. I know there's some potential conflict with her, for next season. She wants to be manager, it just kind of depends on her schedule. And then the other thing that me and Jan kind of talked about, we had a lot of payout for, recertification or certification of, WSIs or lifeguarding. So hopefully we don't have that this year, with as many of them being certified this year, because it's, what's it?
It's a
couple-year license. But then, I also had been in contact with Dodge Center, and we would start doing it in-house at our aquatic center, so that would take some of the cost I mean, not a lot, but it would take some of the cost away from us having to pay out that much.
Who would do the certification?
Tracy Morrow has someone who does it at Dodge Center, but we are always open a minimum of a week before they are.
Sure.
And she had reached out to me, and we've been in contact, and I said, we have no problem facilitating our area for it if we can use, have our staff
Have
do
you
it.
reached out to like Byron too? to see if
And
they
I've been
can-
talking with Byron, and she usually sends her staff somewhere, but I mean, it would be an opportunity for us to,
Sure.
I wouldn't say make money, but at least cut that cost
Yeah,
down,
Right.
So, like I said, if we have a year like we did this year, and we can cut some of that cost out, and maybe, we might do even better. I don't know. It's gonna be, with Rochester opening, is it next year that they
Yeah,
open?
they're doing Aquatic Center.
I'm not saying we're gonna take a huge hit, because that place is probably gonna be packed, but we'll probably see some of that in the future as far as,
Yeah, that certainly will probably impact our daily fees.
yeah.
Right, for those
I-
folks
I'll-
that just decide they wanna go on Saturday and they end up coming from Rochester.
I still think we'll get the bus loads from Rochester. It just might not be as many. But we'll probably be one of the facilities that has more availability or open, so that, I mean, it still might work in our favor, so.
Do we have a breakdown of how many daily passes we did? And so we can look at, because we've raised those rates every year the last couple of years, it feels like, just a little bit, just to see if that is it still cognizant to keep raising them or keep it flat, like?
Well, so, I don't know if Jan has the actual number, but I was just looking up numbers before I got here. So like, for instance, Waseca, I kinda compare us to, similar to Waseca, I know Waseca's a little bit bigger, but their day rate admissions are $5.
Yeah.
And their nighttime rate, or afternoon rate, I guess, is $3.50. That's after 5 PM. I don't know if it's beneficial for us to try to raise them.
I was just-
We're getting kind of like way out of,
That's the biggest moneymaker, it looks like, is daily fees.
right.
If we're gonna see a drop in numbers of people, do we wanna keep it flat so we don't discourage people from coming?
Yeah, I'm scared, because obviously that was our next part on the discussion, but I'm scared to try to raise it, at least this year, with Waseca's rates being at, I mean, they're already lower than what our rates are, but I'd be kinda concerned
Yeah, I
about.
mean, I think we raised rates last year. We actually had raised
Yep,
them
and we had
much before
gone
that.
up the year before too, so we've,
Yeah.
Last 2 years.
yep.
I mean, it's not like we're too far off, or too much higher, but,
But according to this now, it's proving that it's working. And
Sure,
we
I mean,
shouldn't-
I
and
guess
we
this would be
shouldn't
ideal.
have to.
Yeah, this would be
raise them
ideal
up.
if we could maintain performance like this where it was
Right.
relatively balanced. That would be our goal. The issue is, of course, we don't raise rates, we already know that the wages are gonna go up.
Right.
So you're already gonna have, like, maybe we can still tweak it, cost controls on concessions, or maybe we'll see a little WSI savings, but,
Right.
I mean, your expenses are gonna be what they're gonna be, because we operate, and this year, I think we were only closed maybe 2 days, maybe 3 at the most. It was a warm summer, it was relatively dry, we operated pretty well. There's always the other coin flip is your day passes versus your memberships. So over the last 5 years, we've really encouraged people to get memberships. The nice thing about that is it's a fixed base of revenue for us. Whether they come or not, we're gonna get it. At the same time, the pool operates whether they're there or not.
right.
So it's not like, if they're not there, we don't have to run. We still have to run anyway, so, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, I'd be comfortable with holding the rates the way they are this year. Seeing how it goes, part of it is, I don't think we're looking last year, the last 2 years, we've tweaked the hours, and that was another thing where that kind of causes us, well, how is it gonna be? We don't know exactly how it's gonna go with the hours versus the wages. And now we kind of know, okay, well, this year, this was our hours, this was our staffing level, here's how much it costs. Well, next year, I'm guessing we'll see a larger, even if we had a good year again like this, we would see a larger gap. It's just, because wages are gonna go up, whatever the state says, that'll be, we debated that last year, if you remember, Greg, kind of thought we were gonna do that. I remember a year ago, we were talking about it, we kind of went back and forth on it, but, I mean, it's a matter of what level is the council willing to operate this at, and also you as a board, what recommendations you make, But we certainly want families to be able to go. That's
Right.
an important part.
One of the things I saw, it was on Facebook this last summer, was people were concerned about availability of the pool when large groups show up.
Yeah, I know, we had kind of discussed it at a few park board meetings. maybe about how to deal with it. I don't want to discourage people from coming. I think, being more open to the public or transparent, I guess, with the staff at the pool saying, okay, Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesdays, or whatever it may be, this group is coming, expect, we expect that we reach capacity at this time. I think that needs to be maybe a little more transparent. I know, Julia would kind of talk to me about it. She does try to post some of that stuff on there.
They're pretty consistent on the days they come.
Oh, yeah.
So is there like a calendar we put out front that says, hey, these we know, like,
And
the
that-
casting groups that come routinely, post it on there so families know, oh, tomorrow is JLH, they're coming tomorrow, okay? Either I need to get here right away, or I need to wait till they're gone. Like, I hadn't personally had an issue last year. Whenever we showed up, it was fine, so it was,
And I don't think
I-
we've
Part of
seen
it
it.
is the timeline too. 'Cause so, for example, I get there early, that's fine. I don't know that we actually turned a lot of people, but between like 1 PM and 3, because by 3, they're packing up and they're leaving. It's like, whenever I went with Irina, she was my daughter loves to swim, and we went a lot.
Mhm.
And I mean, it was busy, but then at 3 o'clock, it kind of, after the break time, they all took off, and it was like, well, this is what we maybe see on a more normal experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is something that, maybe is a good idea, to put out, hey, from 1 to 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're gonna be here, and people can make their own choice. I mean, we want the pool to be full. At no time, to my knowledge, were we over capacity. I mean, there was rare when we actually got to, people feels like it's full. It's just because, like, sometimes you go at 6 o'clock and there's 25 people in the pool, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that is a.
Did anyone ever actually say that they were turned over?
there were a couple posts, I don't know if, I can't remember now if they said it, but people go on the Facebook and the parent page and just,
No, I know.
they'll say whatever they want to complain, but maybe just posting it, that's a free way for us to
We could.
advertise, hey, these are the days it's gonna be busy, plan
If
ahead.
Julia's back, that could be something we could get put out before the season, we could get a hold of these groups and just say, hey, what are the days that you're, planning on coming, and that's something that we could post at the beginning of the season so that parents are aware, and she could be on top of that, just reminding on a weekly basis, saying, send out that mass text or whatever it is, and just be like, hey, just remember, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that these groups are coming from this time to this time roughly.
And it could just be generic too, we don't have to, there are groups coming on
Right.
these days. and-
Yeah, we may not have to
So-
give the actual time frame, because I don't know, some of them may stay longer, some
Or
may
or
be
what
shorter.
groups there are,
Yeah.
because then they'll get, somebody will be upset with them.
Sure.
because-
They're gonna say, why does JLH always get to come as a group?
And that's what they complained about, and I think Marlo did a great job addressing it, and those kids need a place to go, and they've paid pool passes so they can go. And
We don't want to
so,
discourage that, 'cause that's a big source of steady.
yeah,
Right.
so that's where I don't wanna discourage that, but I also wanna make families aware, hey, if they're gonna be here, plan accordingly. It's just one little thing that might go a long way for a couple people to say, oh, that's really nice that they have that, now I know. Or if they say, why can't I know it, well, there it is, right?
Yep.
Less for them to complain about, solutions to the problem.
Okay, no, that looks good for bottom line. Sometimes Ronnie got very, very, very detailed, and sometimes it's hard to follow, but it was good, to have that. That's what he did for 30 years, so, but, we've operated on losing a lot more than this,
Yeah.
so,
Well, and I don't wanna carry on this too much. So, at one point, when we had the inspector come and did our pool, we got kinda dinged for our pool grates, the bottom of the pool grates. I figured out what it was, what the cost was of them when we bought them in 2019, so that was 5 years. When we go to CPO class, it's 5 years is what they say you have to replace them by, there's supposed to be dates on them, all this jazz. After digging into it more, contacted the company we bought them from, our grates are good for 10 years, so we have till 2029. That's $6,000 we don't have to spend now. So that's a pretty good cost.
Isn't there that Abigail Taylor law, though, that we have to replace them every so many years?
So, all I know is after contacting our distributor, they said there's some grates that are 5, 7, and 10. She said, our grates are 10. I said, okay, well then, she's gonna send me literature on it to make sure that we put it in our pool room so that it's covered when we have our next inspection. But they used to, like at our school, they used to tell us, well, we put dates on every grate to tell you when you have to replace them, and then I asked about that, and she said, well, they don't put dates on the grates anymore because the manufacturer puts a date that it was manufactured on. Shelf life isn't included in the life of the grate. It's as soon as you install the grate. So the day you install the grate is when you start your clock on 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So ours are good for another 5. So it's just one major expense, I guess, that, you know, we don't have to do this year. So I made sure to cover my end, she's gonna send me the literature and make sure that we have all the documentation of when we bought them, how long they're good for. But those are things that are gonna impact us in years to come, you know, with how old the pool's getting and stuff like that, so.
Okay, well, it's a good avoidance for, at least at this point, until the inspector comes back and says, no, you still have to, it's like, you know, you talk to them and you talk to them, but, you know,
We'll have the paperwork at least.
that's,
Say
yep,
that we
that should
know.
be, and it makes sense, you can't put a date in a grate when it sits on a shelf for
Right.
2 years. So, okay, so otherwise, I think with the end of season numbers, we're good, looks very nice, again, I agree with you, thanks for the staff and all that's involved in making this operate,
And we
so.
had no major incidents. Very
Yeah.
proud of that
Yes.
this year.
So, okay. So as far as rates for the 2024 season next year, Ben, do you have something, or do we
I
want to
think-
review it?
Like I said, I think we keep them the same.
Yeah. And I tend to agree, because we have dickered with all this for, you know, every year it's like, well, at what point does something go up, at what point? With Rochester coming in with their pool, you know, it might be good to sit a year and just really see with where the numbers are now, where those go into the end of next year. 'Cause always,
Were the lesson classes full? Swimming
I
lessons?
would say most of them were, yeah. Because I know there was some where the people were waiting for cancellations
Okay.
to get into lessons. And from experience, like with tot lessons, I know we had to change some things with tot lessons because there was I think it was open to like 20-some kids last year. Well, you know, us as a staff probably didn't factor in, well, with 20 kids, you gotta factor in, there's 2 adults or at least 1 adult that come. So with talking with pool staff, we changed that, brought it down, and I was at tot lessons with my daughter, and it was a lot more manageable. I mean, it was easier to maintain the kids and the lifeguards, you know, so I think we did really well this year for that.
any other thoughts from anybody else on rates and such?
No, I'm all for keeping them the same what we are right now.
And then what our costs are for lifeguards.
Right.
Yeah.
That goes up a bit, we gotta always reevaluate. When does that process for interviewing start again? Is it January? December?
I do my interviews over Christmas break, so.
Okay. Just one thing to think about, not this summer, but the next 2 summers. So the summer of 2025 and 2026, the school district will not be getting out of school until June 6th, a week later than normal.
Okay.
So that will have an impact on when some of our lifeguards will be available, and on when kids are swimming. Because
What date, June what?
starting June 25 and June 26, it'll be it'll be the 5th is the last day of school, and the 6th is that teacher work day, and then graduation is that weekend.
So late, they adding in a different break?
There's 16 days off for Christmas, and then in 2026, there's an actual spring break.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna be a long Christmas. Almost too long. A lot of time with my wife.
We can rewind that.
She
Well,
won't watch.
so that's good, that's really good, Gal, thanks for the information on that. I mean, I think in
Yeah.
the past couple of years, we've tried to go for Memorial Day, and maybe we still try to
Just the
staff.
weekend?
Yeah, we would still try to staff that, but then there'd be 2
Weekends, definitely.
Probably, I mean, maybe we wouldn't open again until the 7th. You know, it depends on the weather too, because I know in different years, we've had really warm Junes, like I'd say not this past year, but the year before that, the June was incredibly warm. It was like wet, I played sod. And, you know, May was great. I got it at the end of May. I got 1 rain, and then it was a month, it was 90 degrees and it didn't rain. So it was a good year at the pool. But the year previous, I think it was cold in June, so I mean, sometimes that's good to keep track of, that's a good idea. And then,
It could be something that we use on the weekends if staff permits and.
yeah, and then the other thing is always our closing date, that's always gotta be something we kinda have to take a look at too. Well, this year, I don't think we had quite as many people pushing back on it, but, every year it seems like we lose the kids a little bit earlier. It was, when I was a kid, it was like Labor Day, the pool was still open until Labor Day. Now it's maybe the 15th or the 17th or the same.
Sports.
I mean, we had-
Goes back to school.
I had one person approach me and I said, well, we just didn't have staff, and they're like, oh, I guess I didn't think about that,
All of
Yeah.
high school sports start that second Monday, I believe, in August.
Yeah, it seems like everything's earlier and earlier.
Even some of the college kids go back before Labor Day now.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
And one thought on that would be, I see some pools where they just open up the weekends,
Mhm.
so they do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, towards the end of August, and that's all the staff, which I know during the week, it tapers off. After you get into August, it definitely, 12 to 5, it's pretty quiet, in August, because like you said, kids are in sports.
That's just something we're gonna have to look at, whether it's cost effective to be open on a weekend, for the end of the season or not,
Okay, let's go to the Lemmy Jones.
So he finally got back to me after a few phone calls. They've been busy up at a different water park. I'm still waiting for a start time on that. They still plan on coming this year to do what they gotta do. The only difference is they will be taking that toddler slide that is part of the project down to Texas for the winter to redo, and that's no extra cost to us. So I said, go ahead and do it, just give me time. And like I said, he just got back to me this morning and said, I'll keep you posted, they're just finishing up at whatever water park, so hopefully they can get this done, because I'm sick of waiting. It just, I don't know at some point if it's beneficial for us to try to find someone else, or, I mean, it's not like he's not standing by his work, but it's just, I can't find it beneficial for us to wait this late in the season, and if stuff's failing and him having to come back, I don't.
I think the biggest thing is, it's that waiting game. It's like, how long do you wait before you pull a trigger? Because if it's not done when you're ready to open,
Well, and I was getting
You
to
know.
the point where I'm like, well, just come in the spring, because I don't wanna, it's getting cold now, and.
Does the weather affect anything that he's gonna do?
So the slide was the toddler slide has to be at 50 degrees, and that's why he asked if he could take it to Texas with him, and I said, that's fine, as long as, that responsibility's on you, and we have no extra cost. And he said, nope, it's all on us at that point. And he's been really good to work with, it's just, I understand that he's busy and he's got his own crew doing other water parks and stuff, but at some point, I don't know if I gotta look into another company that does this stuff, and maybe see what they could offer, if the time frame would be better for us. But he has still been in contact.
I don't know,
with
I think
me.
at this point, if he's been in contact, just leave it, because for you to try to hook another company to start in
Right.
December or January.
Well, no,
I'm
I'm not talking for
It'd be
this
for
year, I
next
mean,
year
for the
going-
future, going
Yeah,
forward.
yeah.
We have a 3-year contract. I would certainly say once that's done, we would take a look and see
Right.
if there's any other vendors. And there aren't a ton of cool vendors.
I don't think there are, that's what scares me.
Right. I mean, I know that those steps on the big slides, those are gonna pop and crack again.
Yep, and he already said he's gonna come and redo the ones that have done it again, so.
Councilmember Johnson requested a project list for the pool. So what projects do you have him working on?
So, with everything that's been going on this year, with the budget and all that stuff, my plan would have been for next year to attack at the water slide.
Okay.
Whether that's gonna permit or not, I don't know.
So the kiddie slides, what else is Lemmy working on? So he's got water
The
slides.
kiddie slide and the dive tower would be the two main things this year, and then he's gonna redo the steps that are bad.
Yep.
And then there's some paint chipped away off one of the water features that they had done last year, and that will be essentially free of cost other than the paint.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Have we planned, or, I can't remember now, have we already done, or are we planning to do the actual slides where
That would be what I was thinking we would do next year.
you're putting a seal coat on it?
Yeah.
Seals and,
It
actually-
seals and then put the wax coat on it,
Yeah.
yep.
'Cause weren't we also wanting to have the lifeguards do something We're
So,
ma-
yeah, they're
maintain-
supposed to be maintaining it with certain wax thing, but
It's hard to get them to do that. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause, yeah, and maybe share a project we did last year too, 'cause I'm guessing he would like to know that too. Likes to, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Nope, we're good. All right, so the Veterans Park, sign,
so.
what do we got?
I think it might have been a year after I started, we removed the Veterans Park sign where the flags are. It's just, right now it's a black pole with a frame, but it holds the light that, shines onto the flags. So right now it's just an open hole. One of the guys from the Legion reached out to me about hanging up that star, which they do every year. I don't think they did it last year, but he was gonna try to put me in contact with someone who could do some painting. It would be nice to fill that spot where there was a sign that said Veterans Park, and we could do it for cheap, just get, like we had before, wood, and if he could paint some sort of mural on it, I don't know what it would cost or anything, but it'd be something that could fill that, because obviously we can't remove that pole with the light being on it.
Well, I mean, that lays a bigger discussion on those flagpoles and that brick monument too, then.
Well, at some point, we need to do something different.
Yeah, because obviously that's continuing to deteriorate, you know, very rapidly.
Right.
I don't know, I mean, it's 40 years old, I'm not sure if it was intended to, how long it was intended to last, but it's definitely deteriorating quickly too, so,
But in the meantime, if we could spend $1,000 on a sign that looks nice versus $50,000 on a monument,
you guys can talk about it.
I mean, I'm not opposed to trying to spend $50,000 on a monument, but it's just a matter of writing grants and trying to go that route.
I feel like and maybe we'll come back up when we talk about the ADA swings, because we're already trying to do grants and stuff for that right
Right.
now.
Right.
Maybe, yeah, maybe our focus is something small, like you said, the $1,000 type project to hold us over until we can get all the grants and stuff done for the ADA swing options, and then come back to it at a later date.
Right.
'Cause you're gonna have a lot of things cooking at once here.
Yeah, I have a lot of things cooking.
Let's focus on one or two things really well instead of trying to do too many things not as well.
I agree.
I don't think we really discussed the Veteran Memorial in the last 2 years a whole lot. I mean, I guess my concern is taking it out, which wouldn't require any real cash. I mean, it would be something that our guys could take out without, it would take about 15 minutes, unfortunately.
Right. I just don't wanna take it
Right,
out
there's very
until
much
we have
deteriorating.
something in the works, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And that's something that's already there, you're gonna spend $100 in lumber, and, you know, I don't know if this gentleman, I haven't even reached out to him, I just wanted to get ideas on, you know, would that be something we'd be interested in? We have a frame where a sign used to be, and there's nothing in it. You know, it'd be something we could put up there where it just says either Veterans Park, and it could be a unique memorial type painting or something that would at least show that we care. You know, I know it's hard to get the funds to do a big project like what, I mean, I'm assuming we all think that park deserves. Obviously, we have discussion about where it would go and everything, but in the meantime, it'd be nice to put something in that spot where there's nothing.
If you didn't know there was a sign there, you wouldn't really know that there was something missing there. And if there's a big, neat-looking sign there, then people might come look at it and then see the not-so-impressive memorial
Sure,
there, so.
and that's a fair statement, absolutely. It just sucks, because my perspective, I see it every day. I know that it's gone, that's why I'm bringing it up to everyone else. And when I drive by that park, I turn into that drive every day, and I see that empty frame that sits there,
Sure.
and it's just kinda, I don't know.
Well, can you bring some mock-ups for the board to see maybe?
I will, absolutely, like I said, I
mean,
just,
I remember, I told Ron to take it out, because the sign was...
and you couldn't even read what was on the sign to begin
It was
with.
pretty much, I had even thought about like cutting the part of it off and just leaving the posts, because not the light so much, but it's also got the Wi-Fi up there.
Sure.
For the park, so you gotta have something to put the Wi-Fi on top. So I was thinking like, just cut the old sign part of it off, and then just leave it as a black, repaint it as black, and then, you know, it's kinda like, it's there, and like you said, I don't know how many people would even notice it really. You know, when the Wi-Fi stops working, maybe they'll look. But I think before we would approve anything, I think it'd be interesting to see what you come up with,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
And I don't know if it's, if you wanna do when wood does deteriorate.
Well, and like, you know, I can talk to,
Polystyrene
like,
kind of
Able
stuff.
Signs and see what kind of things they could do,
Yeah.
and what, you know, what the cost would be. Like I said, I just want to get people's opinion on it before I went any further. I'm not gonna do all the research, and if everyone's nay on it, then...
Yeah.
How long has it been empty?
Year and a
Probably
half.
about a year and a half.
Has anybody said anything about it besides?
No, because you couldn't see the sign before. It was just a piece of wood.
It's okay.
It said Veterans Park on it, but you
One
couldn't
time,
tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does look kinda odd empty, it does. I go past there.
And it's only if you notice, like, if you notice it, yeah, you're gonna notice. I mean, you
So-
gotta look for it.
So it might be a case, you'll come up, see what options are, something that's attractive, and it doesn't have to be long-lasting, because obviously that wouldn't be the case.
Right.
But also on, you know, retrospect to where you could cut that metal off with a hand grinder and grind it down, smooth it down, and paint the pole, and nobody's ever gonna know
Right.
until that new Veterans Memorial does come in. So there's
Yeah.
a give take, but I don't wanna just say,
I mean, I think it'd be nice to have something that'll last 5 years.
Right.
Whether, because if it's plastic, you could probably get something that'll last 5 years before it starts to really fade. Because it does take a lot of sun there.
Yep.
You know, wood's the same way, maybe you can get something that lasts because, I mean, that's gonna break apart, if it's glued, it's gonna deteriorate in the weather, you know. But I'd be interested to see what you come up with.
Okay.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know, I mean, you know, I don't think it's worth spending a lot of money.
No, and like I said, I don't wanna spend a lot of money on it, obviously with hopeful plans to do a true memorial, but I just think, why waste the space if we have it?
sure, okay. So we'll wait and see what
Okay.
Ben comes up with, so. All right. Any other information on new business or any comments before we move on to the old business? Nope, good to go? Okay, going to old business, ADA swing, a second option, Ben?
So, this is gonna be finding out, being in this position, that everything is very slow moving. But, I don't know if I printed off enough of them.
I see here, so.
Got a whole load of So, me and Sarah Bailey went and visited the new playground, indoor playground, off West Circle Drive. And it's it's an inclusive playground. It was very, fun to go see, something that we could never afford.
How much do they charge? Is it $20?
I can't remember what, he told me the rates, it's been a while now. But anyway, I was introduced to the Play World people who built the playground. They're fairly local. This Aero Glider is a wheelchair accessible piece of equipment. So I reached out to him and he gave me some prices. And as what you guys see on that picture is what he gave me a quote for, which totaled, it was $55,000.
Does that include the ground surface, whatever?
That includes the border, the wood chips, and everything except for them to install it, which I'm confident my crew can install something of this nature. I'm not saying we have to go with something like this, I would just want to make other options, visible to everyone. But you see what we were presented with, the one that I originally presented, and it was one swing, and that was what it was. And that was one of the things that this gentleman talked to me about is, you got one unit that cost this much, and that's all it draws. Where there are some other pieces of equipment included in this to make it more appealing to the public's eye. He said, I understand that you have other playgrounds around that, but he said I understand what you're trying to do, but he said, I feel like if you added some more things. So, I should have brought that other part, but I can't remember where it was. But the cost of just the swing alone was like 30,000, 20,000, somewhere in that range. So we're not too far off, but we can have more for less, I guess.
This doesn't require the pad that
No.
the other one
So
did.
that was when I sent,
40,000.
so when I sent him the quote for that, I sent him everything that I was sent through Place Review. And he
Yes, that
said, well,
was the-
that
of course,
seems
that
a
was-
little unrealistic as far as what you need for port and place and this and that. Said you can have a ramp, and he said you're gonna have to have so many turns per elevation, and I knew that was gonna happen. But he said, you know, we can add stuff in to that piece of equipment to make it more appealing. It doesn't have to be just the swing.
So does the wheelchair sit right on here?
Yeah, it'll wheel right into where, like, the benches can be for anyone,
Okay.
but the wheelchair can fit between that and the rail.
What does it do?
It just glides back and
Okay.
forth like a sleigh.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you wanna do it, that sounds fine. I don't know if they're very interesting though.
Well,
I've got that one over in Byron and tried that one out and it moves about 3 inches.
and that's the thing, but you're also gonna spend how much more money on something that is a swing?
Sure, no, I got you. I'm just saying, you know, if you're gonna spend 55,000 on something that, I don't know. Yeah.
But the thing is you're talking about a piece of equipment that offers kids in wheelchairs to have accessibility to playing versus having nothing.
Yeah, like I said, to me, it's an issue is that it, you know, it barely rocks.
Right.
And I don't know how interesting, even if I was in a wheelchair, that would be to me. I don't know if they're even gonna notice it. But, like I said, I mean, it's an option, definitely. I mean, I'm not trying to poo-poo it, man, I just,
Yeah. Did you,
the big switch from having a swing that goes back and forth.
Right,
is gonna-
I'm just giving options with
Sure.
cost-wise, and until we know what we get for grants, I guess, you know, this is all we're in, is planning stage and options, so.
What did, you said you were working with that person from the school, I forget, what did she do?
Sarah.
Sarah, she's, at this point, she's kinda open to whatever. You know, obviously, our preference is gonna be the original swing. I'll tell you right now, I'm not willing to put the chain and pad one in. I just don't think that's, I'm not gonna put it in. So it's, at this point, it's all or nothing. If we get grants, we get grants. If not, we're not doing it. I can't put something in that I don't feel is comfortable and that I'm gonna hold myself accountable, so. We're just gonna keep exploring options, and until we figure out what we potentially could get for grants, we'll see what happens.
does this take up less space overall than the other plan?
This takes up the same, because I gave him the exact same blueprints, and he used those, and so he said, we'll keep it the same border and everything.
Could you add on to this eventually if you wanted to?
I mean, you could potentially, yeah.
It'd be nice if Sarah brought this back to her families. When they came in, they were very adamant about a swing. If they were presented this option, because they're the families that are gonna be using it the
Right,
most.
which one would they prefer over the other?
Yeah, because I can't say what my family will want, because I wouldn't use it for the same purpose. So I would like input from some of the families that would be utilizing it, just because we're doing this for them and with them. But, have we turned in any grants yet?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
We haven't heard anything back.
Okay. But we sent them in.
Yep.
Okay, well, it's another option. I mean, like to see all sides of things, obviously, you know, money.
Going back to this, because if like the swings don't move very much, I mean, this goes in a full circle,
Sure.
would that be more movement than the swing? I don't know.
Could be, but it's also quite a hefty
More
increase in
expensive.
price. That's the problem, is all this stuff comes with a heavy price tag. It's just, I get from like our point of view, you're talking about one piece of equipment costing, you know, almost as much as an entire modular, but at the same time, times have changed, we're not just able-bodied people, there's all sorts of people in this community, and we need to adapt to that. So we'll just, like I said, we'll figure out what we get for grants, if we get grants, and how much we can get, and we'll go from there. Until that time, it's just gonna be, you know, researching options that we can potentially go with, and see what, you know, like Ryan said, we'll have to see what those families that would be interested in, 'cause you know, like, we don't wanna put something that they don't wanna play on.
No, and Tim's got a point too, so I can tell you, see something in motion, how do we know what our equipment's gonna be?
Right.
You know, so, you know, that's the thing, is like, now in my case, if you get something that's gonna spin like that, you can put me in a chair after I come off that.
Lay on the floor.
Because everything will be going,
That's what
so,
I'm wondering about.
you know, and I appreciate all those people and kids that can spin and enjoy all that stuff, but I'd like to
This one you
think,
think would have more motion, this original, because this is the original one you're
That does have
talking,
more motion than...
than a glider, than this one?
Yes, yep.
okay, well, it's just another option.
Yep.
I like the motion one, this one.
I'd like to,
I feel like
I do
the
too.
movement of it, is just the enjoyment of it. I mean, no matter who you are, if you go to the fair, the ride that moves the most is the most fun.
You're not going on the little planes that go in a slow...
No.
I'm the Caterpillar guy that goes on that little train, know exactly where you're going, up the hill, down around the corner.
What was the cost of this one? I don't,
The original concept was a type of swing, the movement.
Yep.
The glider, it looks great, but if it doesn't...
It doesn't have the movement that the swing would have.
Mhm. And will a child that goes on that have the same enjoyment level?
Probably not, depending on the child.
So,
And that's the point, it's like and this is the other side of it, that would be, you know, 70% of them maybe. The other 30% are like me, like, no way, this is my 30% that I'm in this one. So, it might be a case eventually to expand something to have multiple, you know, we'll see what the grants come in, see where the monies fall, and,
I just don't wanna get my hopes up on the grants.
yep, no,
You know what I mean?
yep.
what was the cost on this one? Because I'm not finding it.
Which one is that, the we
The
go
first
around?
one.
Oh, the swing, so the swing alone is 38,000.
it has to have the pad underneath.
And,
Question mark?
so that's question mark.
'Cause you could-
Because when we went to the Stemfield Playground, this gentleman who does the swing there, nope, the other one, he was one of the bidders on that playground, and they found out that he was kinda giving them the ring around, and you need more of this and less, you know, trying to get so I'm just kinda starting to understand that he's trying to sell more, you know, and not what was actually needed.
But that 38,000 includes the ramp, I mean, includes,
No,
no, that's not the ramp, just the
fifty-some
swing.
thousand for the whole thing.
Could they put this on the end?
On the end of that.
Like,
Yeah,
would
but-
Playworld bid that out for you? Can they?
I don't know if Playworld would bid out the ramp and all that
Okay.
without having that piece of equipment.
Okay.
I mean,
I know if they had that in
That
their
would be-
arsenal. Yeah. I know it's expensive, but if they could put that with that, 'cause then you have your
Right.
ramp, you have the other couple features that are nice.
And it might be a question, you
Yeah.
know, they may have a separate, here's a fee for this, and this is, 'cause I'd like to think that instead of having a swing, they have some other piece of equipment that tie into the end of this
Right.
ramp. So the ramp is
Right.
gonna be still, here's the ramp, now which one of these 3 or 4 pieces would you put on the end, so.
like I said, we'll see what we get with
Okay.
grants, if we get some, and then hopefully we can move forward.
And
When is she starting to write those?
She has written them. and
She has?
I would assume she's gonna hear back before the end of the year on a few of them at least.
before
I
Mr.
agree that we should, if we're gonna spend $50,000, we need to me, we need to have the one that's gonna move.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I just want to give options, and then if, you know, if we can move forward, if we get these grants and we can move forward, then it's gonna be a full-fledged discussion on what we want, what we think is the right thing. I just wanna make sure I give you options so that it's not, this is the one that I want. I don't wanna go
Yep.
down that road necessarily.
Did you get my text and, did you look at the company that had done the Wasika one?
Yeah, they're the ones that do the legal swing.
They're the same ones, okay.
And we brought it up to the joint ventures before. I couldn't go to the last meeting, they moved it to 7:30, and
Yeah.
contractually I have to be at work by 7:30, so I couldn't
And we
go.
talked about it at that, I just said, you know, we're still in the very beginning planning processes, so until I get actual numbers and we have an idea what would it would ultimately cost, I didn't want to discuss it any further,
Yeah.
so.
They seemed receptive a
Yeah.
while ago.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on to the East Diamond batting cage update.
So that is pretty much done. It was, this concrete was poured last week. So the only thing that we would have left ultimately is in the springtime, or, well, depending on weather, we might add a little more gravel to the center and get it prepped for the turf. But other than that, it will be, put the poles in, put the net up, do some dirt work around the side, and we're done. We did have to adjust where the location was. It's more center field now with the way the elevation was out there. We probably brought 74 tons of rock in just to make it, and it would have been a heck of a lot more had we put it where we had initially planned, so. But it's done, so concrete's poured. Sheldon did his job. I know, I've never really worked with Sheldon, and I know he's a good guy. I've heard he likes to take on work and can't always get it completed because of his time frames. But
It's late in the season for
I-
concrete.
I called him, well, they're still pouring concrete now.
It was a warm week.
It was warm.
And last week it was very warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or actually, it was,
2 weeks
when was
ago?
Veterans Week? Or,
That was last week.
yeah, was it last week? Okay. So, yeah, it's all done, we're ready to go. So that's a good project to be finished, so.
And his concrete lasts. He did our driveway and we don't have any cracks.
Yeah, he does a good job. I would
So,
not,
like
I
a
would
lot of
not
them.
say that he doesn't do a good job. It's just a
Does
matter
do
of
good.
getting him there, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
I waited a year for him to get my driveway done, but
it made me nervous. Everyone I
Good.
talked to looked at me like, oh boy. But no, we're done, we're ready to go, so I'm very happy to get that project
Good.
done.
Okay, so move on to tot lot.
Yep, so tot lot, we pulled the sand out and we put the wood chips in. We put our blanket down, put the wood chips in. The merry-go-round in the back corner of that lot was shot. We tried to see if we could even get parts for it. Good luck, right? So we ended up pulling that piece of equipment out, just with it being a safety hazard. It wasn't even sitting correctly. We pulled that out, and then we went to, it would be East Park, sort of East Park, but we pulled the jungle gym out of that property and actually added it to tot lot.
Went down the creek?
Yep.
Okay.
So then at least we could utilize a piece of equipment in that missing
Half
space.
of
Yep.
one. Oh.
So now that's up at tot lot.
Did you pull some of the teeter totters too?
No, we fixed them.
You fixed it?
Yep, so we did new brackets on the teeter-totter, so everything's good to go. Hopefully next year we can add a fresh coat of paint and dress it up.
Got some trees down?
We trimmed some trees. I guess the only other thing would be if we're gonna paint, like that pirate swing, you know, if you have that person on lockdown, if that's something we could maybe.
I can ask him again, yeah, but
Yeah,
I
it would have to be next year, obviously, you know,
Yeah.
obviously the city would provide the
probably
paint
do
and
it.
stuff, I don't know.
Are you talking Randy?
yeah.
Semi-retired, so if he needs a project, I'll talk to his wife, and his wife will send him out there.
He was in one day and so I just asked him and he said, yeah, he'd do it, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So as of now, for the year, we're done with that, we'd finished,
Looks a lot better.
we did some dirt work around there to kinda try to clean up our mess that we made, but it was nice to get that sand out of there and try to dress it up the best we could. So, that one's good to go now, for now anyway.
Okay.
People do use that one. I had people ask about where this merry-go-round was
Yeah,
going.
I
We
know,
talked
I
about
couldn't
it.
believe you pulled me out on the side of the road
I
and
know.
asked about it. I could not
I had two
believe-
coworkers that asked me, and I'm like, they bring all their kids there. I'm like, I didn't know you guys still use that park. Well, I knew we were talking about it, but I figured you were just painting it, so that's why you took it out, but it wasn't,
No.
yeah. So that's, yeah. It was a good
That's a big,
update.
nice merry-go-round.
Yeah,
Really,
no.
that was a solid,
It-
I thought it still worked, it worked fine for me, I don't know.
It
certainly
just-
was pretty.
It was leaning a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
it's the best-
That was the kid we had, that was nothing, you know.
It did stink to remove it, but at the time with it, everything being tore out is either now or never, you know, so just before something were to happen, it was best to just get it out of there. 'Cause we tried to pull it apart, everything's seized up on, I mean, you're talking about something, what, 50-plus years old? Good luck trying to find stuff. But at least we put something in place of it, 'cause there was a big area open back there, so we utilized equipment that was free, I guess.
So make a note that merry-go-round for the tot lot in like 5 years to...
I don't know if they make them anymore.
Well, they do, 'cause they did put one in
I
the
love that one in the
library,
library,
so-
that goes
A
fast.
couple of years ago or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it goes quick.
That's our favorite part.
All right,
too, is
well-
the-
Thanks for working on that, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
It's
Thanks,
a fun-
thanks for taking some enjoyment out of the
Fun
park.
project. Yeah.
Nice science place.
All right, let's move on to the Eagle Scout project.
Eagle Scouts project is officially all wrapped up and done. We did get a thank you letter from Patrick. He had me write a letter of recommendation to the Eagle Scouts board. So, we're all good to go with that. It's done, it looks nice, it worked out well. He's happy, I'm
Yeah,
happy.
Patrick and his dad stopped by the store and personally gave me this and thanked me for it, 'cause I donated the concrete bags, so he wants to stop by every place that threw some donations or time into it.
He put a lot of work and effort into that project,
So,
and
good
I
kid,
know
good
it
family.
wasn't completely going right for him all the time, but,
He dropped it off here.
Okay, so, and he said he was gonna at the city too, so
so,
Congrats to him.
yeah.
that's
It
what
was
I
a-
think,
it was
I'll
a
move
good,
over that way.
Good little project for him to do, and I was glad that we could be part of it as the city, so.
So, and now there's an Eagle Scout project going on in Manorville. Is it the Restoration House or something? I had a gentleman stop in dressed in his scout uniform and was asking for some paint that inside one of the antique buildings over there, the historical buildings, to do the painting on the inside, and then whoever is overseeing it already had the colors picked out, so he was gonna do the painting, and so, not that it has anything to do with the city, but another scout project for an Eagle Scout to where he's gonna complete, and then eventually do the sod work or grass work or grow grass and do all the dirt work outside in the spring, so, it's good to have these young gentlemen,
You don't see it much.
right, striving to do something, whether it's, you know, their gut felt to do it, or if it's their dad making them, or you like to think it's, you know, they're
Who
just
cares?
trying to
It builds
follow.
character.
Just people out there that still wanna do this stuff, so.
They don't do that stuff
No.
much anymore, so.
If any Eagle Scouts wanna work on the skate park next, that would be greatly appreciated.
By tearing it out, or?
We've had people come, we had a family come last year, a year or two, was all wanting to do some
Pickleball
updates
court?
to it,
Pickleball
so.
court.
Oh, yeah, that
remember
one
that?
young guy came
We had a
in.
gentleman come in saying they'd like to do some updates to it and
Yeah.
fundraise for it, so.
Never heard
People
of
are,
it.
it's used quite a bit, so maybe it needs some updates
The
and.
more help we can get, the better.
Yep, definitely.
I'll take any help.
Okay. Anything else?
The only thing I have to add is, are we doing a Christmas tree?
Seems kinda late,
I mean, it's,
it's like,
Because next week.
normally we
December 2nd is
don't,
Easter.
normally we don't get it before,
Yeah.
until right before, Christmas and Cass.
Which is the first week of December, which
Yeah.
is,
Here's the deal. I don't really think it's necessary. We put it in the gazebo, no one sees it, no one comes with the lighting. If we were gonna do it, it'd be something that we would put up at the liquor store for Christmas and Casson and do the lighting there.
Oh,
That wasn't a good spot.
yeah.
It's just, people don't drive by the park anymore.
No.
Once winter hits, it's, no one
I do.
notices it.
well, that, we're not saying no, but this doesn't have the community impact
That it used to.
that it used to, or
I think you
even,
gotta advertise it, though. That year that we did it at the gazebo, we had a few people there, but I put signs up all over town, and there hasn't been any signs since. I thought, I did it once, and I'm not gonna keep doing it. I gotta have help too.
And this is what, and,
know.
you know, thank you for doing that, but you can't always advertise and expect. You know, it's
No, you
one
don't
of
always
those things,
expect, but,
you know, the tree was in the gazebo, then the tree was up kind of where the wall was.
Yep, and then it was up at the liquor store last
You
year.
know, so it doesn't have a stable, and at some point,
You can
sometime, there's gonna
spot.
be a spot that we can celebrate a tree in December, let's just say decorated. 'Cause at this point, they're gonna say, well, why is it not at the liquor store, why is it not by the wall, well, why is it back at the gazebo, which you can't get to 'cause it's so set back so far. You know, I gotta side with Ben on this one.
I'm the newbie, what was the significance of the tree?
it
I don't
was,
know.
it was a...
Okay, I didn't know either.
It was a young boy that had written to Matt Nelson, who was mayor at that time, saying that he thought we should have a tree in the gazebo. And he would help decorate it, as long as there was a tree provided. So Matt Nelson paid for the tree that year, and then he came and helped decorate it. And then we just kind of have started doing that and did, you know, tried to get people to come and do something.
Yeah, we had the
to light
school, the
tree.
brass band, and the blessing of the tree, and lighting it, and at what point do vandals not get in there and get at the lights, and next thing you know, the tree's not lit up, or the breaker tripped, and,
Well, the thing is, we just don't have I'm not saying we don't have a good community, but the care, it's not like it used to be back in the day. I'm not saying people don't care anymore, but people have their own agendas now. It's not so much
it's not
necessarily-
sleigh rides and jingle bells anymore,
Right.
I think is a...
I'm not
right.
saying people don't care anymore, it's just that everyone's got a different thing going on, and it's not like it used to be when I was a kid growing up, where it was a lot more tight-knit of a community.
How heavily attended was it last year? I didn't get to go.
Nobody.
4 people.
Okay.
Maybe.
And the year that I presented it, and I think Tim brought half of his family, and that was about it. It's not heavily attended. The pastor we picked a few years back, it was an awkward, situation in itself. It got political.
I mean, the goofy part is, you know, my first year here was the COVID year. You know, you were up there, I remember it was at the gazebo, and Dan did the speech that year.
Yeah.
And I think we had 25 people. But every year since then, you know, after, so of course, the year when it's COVID, everybody comes, and then after that, maybe because there wasn't anything else to do.
Right.
Now, I mean, like you said, I don't know, I feel like the only way I think you would want to continue to do it is you tied it much closer to Christmas and Castle.
Yeah.
If you said, okay, here's the Christmas and Castle schedule, like, reindeer are here from 1 to 3, and at 3 o'clock, we're gonna do a Christmas tree lighting, and it's gonna be something where people are already there. And then
It would have to be
part of the
on Main
schedule.
Street or somewhere close to.
Yeah, I mean, there's that lot, you know, between.
The vacant lot, the Mooseburgers
But
and...
they're done before it gets dark, so...
Right, so you'd
What do
be
you,
doing it in
you
the
are
day.
waiting for people to come back to light it, but if you do it in the middle of the day, do you see the light? So
I think
it's,
you do, I mean, it depends on the day, but I mean.
With
today would be a
LED
good
lighting?
example, like today, I mean, it was dark. You're right, though, I mean, I'm not saying we do it or not, it's up to you guys as a board.
Next
I mean,
year.
I can see either way, but to me, like, if you do it, I think you wanna link it to Christmas and Castle, where there's always already a preset group of people. You've got the chamber that's gonna be able to help you with maybe decorating or something like, otherwise, you know, Rod would run over to Rochester and Whiting's, because sometimes Houston's didn't have the trees ready in time.
Yeah.
And because we wanna use a local tree if we can, but he'd run over there the day before, and he'd come back, and I think, you know, different people helped out, but we weren't always sure, like, is it been
Right.
decorated, has it been hooked
Yeah.
up, and, you know, so I mean, it definitely, if you could put the responsibility on a different group a little bit more, that'd be helpful too.
And we're a week and a half away.
Yeah, I say we drop it.
And we're a week and a half away from that happening for having it all done, so I think we're too far into committing to it, so it'll be something for review for next year. And it might be a possible case of, you know, getting it like somewhere on Main Street where there's that vacant lot by Mooseburgers.
Yeah.
Or
What a
maybe,
good way to utilize
or maybe the
that.
Legion will put it on the corner of, because when they take their fencing down for their patio, that's open.
There, yeah,
And that would probably be seen as
festive, yeah.
very festive and right on the end of Main Street, so.
I do want
Across
people
from the
to see it.
theater.
I think that's important, is people
Yes.
see it. Plus,
Yep.
you're talking about vandalism, I mean, realistically, you're probably better off having it somewhere where it's more active and more well lit. You know, in the park, you know, Ben can attest to the fact how much vandalism we have.
in the
We're not by
roundabout.
far the worst of any community, but we do get some, and it's easy when it's sitting there by itself, you know?
Right, so.
So we just put lights on the roundabout trees and call it good? No, I really mean it, like, It is nice to drive through Manorville and see the lights in the park, in their park.
It is, it's nice.
Wouldn't it be nice to just throw a couple lights on if MnDOT would let us throw some lights on those trees they already have in the big
I mean,
roundabout?
I really wish there was like a tree, like, if there was a coniferous tree that already was like planted. Because to me, then, like, that's the one you use. Every year, you just put the light on it and.
Like
there it
Manorville's.
is. Like Manorville's.
I think it'd be cool if you took the, canopy frames and put lights on them inside the pool.
I think the canopy's down though.
What, I think if there was some sort of significance of the tree,
I
instead of just
dislike that
decorating a
idea.
tree. What did they do you remember in Blue Earth when they did the tree at the courthouse? What was the significance of that?
You know, I think it was like an anniversary or something. That's why they had the tree there.
So, maybe
But that was just a regular,
we plant
that was
trees,
just a regular
we
tree
plant
that,
one.
I mean, it was,
Yeah.
After 5 or 6 years after
In the
it comes
ground.
the tree, we
A spruce or
Yeah.
whatever.
get a spruce for one of the trees, plant it in the park, and in 5 years when it's big enough to have lights on it, that's the one we use.
Do that.
And then have the Lions help with it, because then they can continue to help with lighting it.
Oh.
'Cause they help plant them. The
I
kids
have no
did,
problem
yeah.
with it, that was the discussion and with the lack of support over the years.
Just trying to find that right spot.
So,
Maybe we
now,
hold off on it for a little bit, maybe next year or the year after, but
Review next year and discussion in October.
absence makes the heart
Well,
grow
earlier,
fonder.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
yeah, I
September,
mean, we did
October.
I guess
miss
I kinda
our,
forgot about it until.
I did too until someone actually reminded me about it and I said, oh man, I forgot about a tree in the park.
Blame Ronnie.
I get 5 years of that, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Tim?
Hey,
One more
but
thing.
I don't think he's gonna care a whole lot. He's probably in Bahamas right now or something like that.
And one more
Vegas.
thing.
Yeah, okay.
Ken, yeah?
Chuck's term and Matt's terms has come up now, the end of December.
Okay.
And are you guys willing to continue, or do you?
I planned on it. It's been 3 years already.
Yeah, we'll probably have the agenda for the 6th and 13th of December.
Okay.
Do we need to be doing anything with the community ed for the brochure? Weren't we wanting to have something in the brochure this year?
Well, advertising, maybe touch base with Jan Carrier on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That was something we
Also
talked
look
They'll
about.
get started on their spring one.
Also look at that email, because I know there was the deadlines and
Yeah,
stuff. I
it's
saved
getting there.
it, so
Yeah,
I'll look back on
that's
it.
usually the end of the year here when they want it ready to go, so
Yeah,
we don't wanna miss that.
No.
That was one of the things we spent a few meetings on, talking with them, and they do have over $400,000 in their community ed fund right now that they can only spend on community ed, so maybe we see if they wanna do anything to help with the pool.
Build the pool house, right?
It'll only be for community ed.
Right.
I had just a question too, is there any talk about repainting the gazebo?
that was part of Ronnie's project, so we did the concession stands this year. That took quite a bit of money to do. I mean, we tore off a whole entire side of the building and redid it, and then we restained it. I know Ronnie had plans on redoing the roof
You're gonna shingle it.
on that. I don't know, that'll be, when we get to that time, that'll be discussion for park board on how we wanna do it. Are we doing the cedar shakes, or do we just be done with it and tin it? I don't know. From a maintenance side of it, I'd say tin it, 'cause that's what I wanna do with, like, our dugouts, 'cause we have shingles that get ripped off every year on our dugouts. Let's just tin it and be done with it. It's just a discussion for down the road.
There was no hail damage on the roof.
The problem is when there was a hailstorm, they didn't submit it.
Yeah.
They probably should have.
And it's a little late to do that now.
2019, they should have submitted, I asked the same questions, like, why didn't they submit that? They submitted all the other ones, but they didn't think about that, so.
Another hailstorm.
No.
No.
I really don't wanna see that, but we're bound to
More blue
see it.
siding. Every house will be blue by the end of 2020.
Or black.
Yeah.
Looks like last year, March 15th was the deadline for the summer
Yeah, I
community.
get it. Okay.
Okay,
We want to get pool info in the spring one.
yeah.
That's our goal,
No, it
So
was,
I would reach out to Katie and Jenny over at the community ed, because we want to get something in there, advertising that up quite a bit.
Probably real soon.
I forgot to bring that up a while ago, but
Okay.
I guess I could've emailed it.
Are we doing park board next month?
So next month is, December 19th.
Like, it's up to you guys.
Well, why don't we wait to see if there's a need,
Right.
plan for it, and if we find there's not a need, then we can always cancel.
That's why I brought these fellows here this week, this month, so.
Oh, 'cause we might have some grant
Critters.
updates by then.
Tim, did you have one over in front of you?
No, I don't.
Oh.
And if that's all I have, I can email it.
Pass that down to Tim, will ya?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Going to
So,
school
So
meet tomorrow.
if we have nothing and all we
Very
have
much.
is grant updates, I
Sure.
will email and get a hold of everyone and at least inform everyone of where we're
Okay.
at. So that we're not coming here for 10 minutes of me saying, we got money or we got denied.
It might be good, Jan, to just get everybody's email as one big group again, send it out since we've got terms have been filled and agreed to, so, I can readjust my email and if I need to send something out, so. Okay. Otherwise, if there's nothing else, I do need a motion for
Motion
adjournment.
to adjourn.
Okay. All approve, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Second.
Second, okay, thank you. All right, thank you, everybody.
Didn't get
All right,
denied.
Thanks for the gift.
Very welcome.
School teacher look at that and
I thought you were sitting
kids
here,
as
that's
well.
why I put
They're
that,
older
that just
now,
reminded
but
me of you.
just
I like this.
a couple bits of feedback
I like that.
of what,
No, I appreciate that, thank you.
Yep.